Hi, in this video, we will be doing part 1 of the IELTS speaking exam. I'll be going over various tips that you need in order to pass this part well and to avoid many of the mistakes that students normally make. So if you're doing the IELTS exam, you really want to watch this. Let's go. Hi everyone, I'm a Cambridge examiner and IELTS trainer, and on this channel we do videos for students so they can get better marks and learn from the mistakes of the previous candidates. So speaking is divided into 3 parts. Let's make sure you know the exam criteria. Number 1, fluency and cohesion. Number 2, lexical resource. Number 3, grammatical range and accuracy. And number 4, pronunciation. You need to respect all these 4 criteria in order to get high marks. So let's talk about part 1. When you go into the exam, the examiner will sit you down, not literally, but will ask you to sit down and ask you a few questions which are normally about your general life. For example, they will ask you questions about your past, your childhood, your friends, school, best memories, best holiday, about a person who played an important role in your life. Whoever that person might be, it could be a celebrity, it could be your father, your mother, your grandparent, or it could be an animal. It doesn't have to be a person, but well, yes, it does. It has to be a person. It can't be an animal. No, can't say, well, my dog was really important to me. Although your dog might be important to you, but you still need to talk about the person. Second type of questions they ask is about your school. What was your favorite subject at school and why? Who was your favorite teacher and why? What subjects you didn't like and why? And did you like the school? You guessed it, why? All these questions are like, why? Because they want you to speak a bit more. So for instance, if I was answering a question about my favorite subject at school, it would have to be English, because I really liked the teacher. She was really kind and understanding, and she really helped me through my problems when I was writing essays. So if you have a teacher who's good, you're always going to like that subject. So the next question could be about your present. What you do, are you a student, perhaps you work, or perhaps you're unemployed. If instead you have bundles of money and you don't need to work, I wish I were in your shoes. If you work, you can say, well, I work in a restaurant, or work in an office, or I work in a shop. If the job is temporary, remember to use present continuous, like I'm working in a shop at the moment, which means that this job won't last very long, because you're possibly thinking of moving on. You can also talk about your studies. You can say, I am currently doing my bachelor's degree, which means that it will eventually finish, so it's temporary in a way. Or you can say, I'm doing my master's degree, if you're doing the second 2 years of the degree course. I mean, degree is 3 years, then you have the master's degree, which is another 2 years. Or you can say, I am involved in a research project in my PhD degree, if you are. Good for you, Or you can just simply say, I'm not really studying anything because I'm seeking employment. They will ask you questions about hobbies, interests, You can mention things like reading, listening to music, doing sport, going out for walks, shopping, whatever swings your boat. So then they will ask you questions about your future. Nobody knows about the future, right? But they will ask you, what are your future aspirations? What you would like to do in the future? Would you like to become a journalist? No, they won't ask you that. It's just me saying that. But they can ask you, what would you like to do in the future? You can easily say, I'm not sure because I'm still thinking about what to do. Or you can say, I'm hoping to become a Formula 1 pilot. I'm hoping to become a pro free climber. Say I'm going into the field of medicine, I'm going to become a researcher, or I'm going to come up with, or I have no idea, I will probably come up with a plan in the next few days or weeks. So, so you can say that. Again, they will say, why do you want to become a doctor, or why you want to become a free climber? You can say, well, free climbing is my thing. I love being outdoors. I love being out in the open when it's just me and the wind. Or if you want to become an engineer, you can say, I like coming up with solutions to problems. Whatever the reason may be, you can say that. They might ask you about moving abroad, like would you like to move abroad in the future? You can say it's an open question. I don't know. I would like to, because it will help me open up my horizons. It will probably get me a better job opportunity, because when you're abroad, you tend to get better paid. When you're abroad, you can get better jobs because perhaps people are looking for people exactly like you. So that's probably one good reason to move abroad, right? Apart from the fact that you might want to change country because you don't like the weather. They will ask you questions about English language, like why are you learning English? Normally people are learning English because they need it for work, they need it for the future, they like it. It could also be a requirement at the college where you want to go. They might ask you what's the hardest or the easiest part about learning the language. So you could say it's easily the idioms or the sayings or the grammar, the vocabulary, which is the most interesting part, or the hardest part, whichever that is. But that is a question they can ask you, and you can't choose the questions they will ask you because that's not within your right. But you can choose how you answer those questions. And trust me, you can answer whichever way you like. There is no right or wrong. So if they ask you a question like, how long have you been studying English? You can say, for as long as I can remember, for many years, for a few years. Or you can say, since, I was a child, since I was at school. You don't have to be exact. So the next one could be, what do you like about learning English? Well, you can say it's a fun language, you can learn a lot of new things, or you can get to meet new people. I personally know people who made tons of friends because they were finally able to speak English. So, there you go. That's or you can say, I like English because it's a worldwide language. It's an international language spoken everywhere. Some questions on social media do turn up, like, are you active on social media? Do you go on social media? Do you have profiles on social media? Now, almost everyone does. So you can say, yes, I do. I have a Facebook account, an Instagram account where I show off my six packs. And you can say, no, I'm not very active on social media because it's not the kind of thing which appeals to me, right? Whichever way you like. And then they might ask you why. You can say, well, I like to have an Instagram account because I can share my pictures with the people I know, or I am into photography, or I don't know why. I just like to have it. Sometimes you don't know the reasons for the things you do. So there you go. There might be questions about friendships, friends, and how you keep in touch with them. Do you have friends? Of course, most people have friends. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to have friends. They might ask you questions like, how do you keep in touch with them? So most people nowadays just text each other. Texting is the quickest way to get in touch with people, because they will ask you why. Right? There's always this why question. You can say because you can reply at your own time. You don't like a phone call where you have to pick up, reply, and talk. It takes you away from what you're doing. A text message allows you to get back to whoever has texted you in a very easy way. You're on a toilet seat and you're just texting away, replying to all the messages you got. That's one way of multitasking, if you know what I mean. Then they'll ask you questions about your city, your neighborhood, what kind of facilities are there in your neighborhood. And the kind of facilities you can talk about is gyms, shopping centers, supermarkets, parks, parking spaces. These are the kind of things you can talk about, and they might ask you what your area is missing. And then you can say, well, there are no swimming pools, for example. If you live by the beach, you don't really care because you can swim all year long on the beach if you live on a tropical island. But if you live in a city, then swimming pools are important. If you're into swimming, that is. If you're not, then who cares, really, yeah? Other facilities for older people, like, elderly people, could be clubs where they can spend time together, or hospitals. And so these are all important things you can talk about. And then they might ask you a question about holidays, like what kind of holidays do you like? You might say, what kind of question is that? Well, remember, they are the ones who decide what questions to ask. You can only decide what to say in reply. So personally speaking, I like going abroad for holidays. I also like where I am. I visit the country where I live, but I love going abroad because it's one chance of getting away from everything, leaving everything behind, and being in a different place where nobody knows you, nobody cares, and you can be who you want. Unless you go to a city where it's not like that and you're being observed for whatever reason. Yeah, I remember going to visit the Karakoram range, and we went to a place called Gilgit. It was 3 of us, and we were being looked at as if we were aliens, literally, because they don't get many tourists up there. So that could happen. So they might ask you about holidays, why they are important. Well, as I said, for me, they're important because I can get away from work. I can get away from all the hustle and bustle of the city, all the life in a fast lane that you always need to live. And it gives you time to spend with your family and to strengthen those ties with the people you love. And they might ask you if you like to go on holidays alone or with friends. You can easily say, look, I have a family, I go with them, or I like to travel alone, I'm a loner, or I like to go on holidays with friends because it's more fun. Yeah, whatever you want to say. They might also ask you questions about shopping, like where do you normally go shopping? Especially for food. You can say, I go to open air markets where you can buy fresh food. Or perhaps you can say, I go to supermarkets where I can buy food all day long. They might also ask you questions about food. Do you cook or you buy food from the outside? Now, if you were living in Hong Kong or Bangkok, you would probably be eating outside all the time, because in some of these cities, people don't have kitchens because they just eat outside. How cool is that? So you can say, I can cook, I'm pretty good at cooking, so I cook at home. Or you can say, I like to eat outdoors because I have no time to cook. You can say that you're very health conscious and you don't want to eat junk food. Therefore, you don't buy processed food. There's several things you can talk about. You can say, I like my fruits and vegetables, or I'm a meat eater, or I'm a pescatarian or vegetarian or vegan, or whatever you want to say. So, and then as a consequence, I buy my food from certain shops, you can say, right? Clothes. They might ask you, where do you buy your clothes? What kind of clothes do you like to wear? Are you a more formal dresser or more informal dresser? So you can say, I like to present a formal look, or I like to have a casual look, or I like to feel comfortable in my clothes. And you can also say that I like to buy clothes from clothes shops where there are a few deals or bargains. I never want to pay the full price. Or you can say, I don't really mind. I don't really mind paying the full price for something. So the last one we're going to talk about today is a family. They might ask you, who do you take after in your family? You can say, I look a lot like my father, or I look a lot like my mother, or we have the same nose, same character, or same height, or whatever. You can also talk about who you get on with more in your family. So these are some of the questions they might ask you in part 1. I tried to cover as much as possible and give you some ideas of what you can say. The next step for you is prepare answers on all these different contexts and practice saying them in front of a mirror or with a friend, or or whoever you may be able to talk to. If you're not fluent, if you're stuttering, if you're breaking up all the time, it's annoying. So what you want to do is you want to speak with a steady flow of words. Focus on your grammar, like, do I use present perfect because I'm talking about past experiences, like I've been to America? Do I use past tense or used to, like I used to have a lot of friends at school? Do I use present continuous for temporary situations, like I am studying at college at the moment? Focus on vocabulary, explore different sets of vocabulary. I'll drop a link down in the description of our online course where you can do, I believe, one lesson for free. You can try it out, and there is a lot of vocabulary there that you can learn. Also, pronunciation is important. Vary your intonation, link the words together, and make sure that you use the stress to its full extent so people can understand you well. That's an example of using stress a lot, right? So don't get stressed, but use the stress. I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, because I'll be releasing part 2 and part 3 of the speaking part in the IELTS exam. So until then, bye for now. See you in the next one. Peace.